You are in for an interesting ride.
Hit record there. Could you tell us what this very interesting looking object
It's
is?
a 4-digit limb from the hand. The tops of the fingers have come off, the joints, and this would have been the thumb. So it never had 5 digits, only ever had 4 digits. So it's rather like a thumb and 3 digits like that, you see?
Okay,
but
yeah.
The thing is, we've got the foot as well, and the foot only has 3 digits on it.
Oh, right. Okay.
And they're both fossilised from a terribly long time ago. It comes from what we code as L3, which is type L3 that was doing a lot of mining.
And where was this found?
Well, we call it the Lower Adriatic.
Any idea sort of what time we're looking at?
Millions of years. We do happen to know that one of the areas that this was found, mining had taken place for vanadium and other space metals, palladium as well. And without trying to give a clue as to where this actually is, we have pictures of a tunnel and railway track coming out and trucks that was supposed to be some sort of water sewage system to prevent flooding, but you can't prevent flooding from the sea to an inland port on a horseshoe. The sea level will stay the same, so putting a tunnel between the seaport and the entrance will not do anything to lower sea level at all, so they're obviously looking for minerals.
This is Tuesday, the 20th of August 2024, and we're here in a very noisy Wetherspoons in Bexhill with Peter Vincent, our Dowsing detective.
E.T. Yeah, it is. Yeah. We got the foot as well. So they wash up from ancient times, you know. It's turned to possum, but the thing is, because the joint, I mean, if this, as you know, when the skeleton deactivates, all the joints give away, because so the fingers break off and the wrist comes off, and it's just like skeleton. So that's what's happened there. So the tops have gone, and that's the thumb. And
there we go.
If you ever see a grey image of a grey hand, that's exactly what it is.
Like a grey alien.
This age, people actually were making models of equipment out of metal, which is fossilised. It's so old. Titanium is basically like that. So it's a little flask crushed in the sea. It's the top of it. And that's actually metal, but it's fossilised. It's so old. So for iron to crystallise, it would have to take about 400 million years. So you can work out
how many years?
400 million, roughly.
400 million. Not too many. We're just about to zip out, over and out from the ET Newsroom. So Peter, we were just talking about the fact that you'd taken this object into Clark's, the shoe shop. The foot
that goes with the hand, yeah. And I went into Clark's because I wanted to find out roughly how high the person would be, because I knew they had a foot measurement machine in there which would give you the adult or child size, and then they can roughly gauge how high the thing is. So it worked out on a child's foot measurement at about 5.5 inches, size 5.5. So they reckon the person with that foot size would have been about 3'6" to 4 foot, no more, which is of course about the height of the small grey alien.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that was quite interesting, and I said, well, you could use this in your advertising, because you could say Clark's fit all sizes.
And fit all types.
Filled all types, yeah. So I think they found that rather amusing, you know, but the thing is that...
Be a great ad campaign, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you have to use all the systems you can to try and get the information you require.
Absolutely.
And I've just recently been to the Eastbourne Air Show, where the Army, Navy and the Air Force are their stalls and things, and I spoke to a gentleman who was servicing this Army cyber stand, and we had a very interesting conversation, and of course he knew quite a lot about things. You know, he's able to talk intelligently about it. And then
things being off-planetary things.
Yes, quite, yes, and communications. And also the Navy submarine and Navy Marines, I suppose you would call it, He wanted to do an on-the-site experiment with his mobile phone to see whether I could work out if the image was alive or dead or what sex it was. But the trouble is, the sun was so bright you couldn't actually see what you were looking at. And basically, you must actually look at what you're looking at. If you're remote viewing a map, look at the map, and not imagine a white sheet of paper. It all clicks together, but you've got to see what you're actually looking at, so that didn't work. And then I had a word with the military police for the Air Force. Unfortunately, the Army police were not there because I wanted to have a word with them about Caterus Lee, the child missing. Explained to one of the other people, they thought it was extremely interesting that we were able to find something that responded to that child's image. And not only that, but they had family connections 200 kilometres away from the Paderborn army base in Germany where the child disappeared. And I thought, well, who's doing what about this, quite frankly? Because
And just on an interesting point, Paderborn and Senelager, which are very close by, are the places that Bill Brooks was in, and he's the lifelong experiencer, as told in the book 44, based on an exotic true story of lifelong contact.
When we looked at Caterus Lee's childhood photograph, we were able to code her fully, and she was showing as alive. So when we went over the world maps, we found a very strong response in Kavala in northern Greece, a nice resort in northern Greece. It went over the National Bank of Greece. So we knew by doing some intelligence work that this person may now be connected to hairdressing and beauty. So we couldn't see anything relating to hairdressing and beauty at the time, but going down on Google Earth right down to the level and turning it around, a row of shops came up and an advert came up, XXX beauty. So immediately we hit on the spot that her image responded to. And we later found that there was another shop that also responded to the same group, and there were images of a person roughly her age now with the same brown eyes, and other remote viewers as well as I picked up that there was probably an eye defect in there. So we think that this is the missing person who would not realise that they were abducted or were adopted, whichever way you want to look at it, and therefore we thought, well, we'll contact the local Catholic Church priest to see whether he could help. I even emailed the shop email, never had any information back. But what is interesting, if somebody was to email you to say, look, we believe we might be a relative of yours in England, would you by any chance be related? Surely you would want to know more, because how would you know you weren't the beneficiary of a deceased estate?
Well,
you see, this is the point. They don't make no interest whatsoever in anything. You'd think you would ask more questions as to why you're communicating.
That is the power of the dowsing detective kind of work and what have you. And so this is yet another mystery that remains out there as is. And meanwhile, you are back off to Eastbourne to continue your holiday, your break, having seen the air show there. And
we took nice pictures of the Blenheim with the two Spitfires, and then the Lancaster sadly didn't have the Spitfire and Hurricane with it. And of course the Red Arrows were not here on the Friday, Saturday and Sunday. But it was a marvellous firework display at 9 o'clock, really an outstanding firework display.
That's great.
But otherwise the weather was exceedingly good, and there were not perhaps as many people as before, but it was still well attended, and it brings a lot of business to the town, and it would be sad for the town in general if that air show stopped, because it does bring people. That's the reason why we go there. We stay in the hotel, we use the shops like that, and it's commerce and trade. So
that's right. And I think on that happy note, it's over and out from Elizabeth and Peter Vincent in Bexhill on their way to Eastbourne. Bye.